So do you feel like you're a prisoner, like the crabs and the lobsters over there? Maybe not as bad as them. You're not about to get eaten. You're not about to get crushed up. But hey, welcome to another one of my videos. Today I found myself in Borough Market, and we are under lockdown.
I don't know about you, but I have had more than enough of pubs, clubs, theatre, and all the gossipy gregariousness and love of human contact that drives the creativity of our economy.
Let's discuss what's going on right now. At the moment in the UK, they're pushing out vaccines for the most vulnerable. Vaccines, if you want to have them, go for it. I'm not saying don't have the vaccine, I'm just saying what's going on right now. So do not demonetize this video. But what's actually really happening, you now can no longer travel into the UK unless you have a certificate saying that you are negative of COVID. What does this mean? Well, we all know the PCR tests aren't reliable. Even the inventor of the PCR test basically said that it's not a reliable test.
If they could find this virus in you at all, and with PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody. It starts making you believe in the sort of Buddhist notion that everything is contained in everything else, right? I mean, because if you can amplify one single molecule up to something that you can really measure, which PCR can do, then there's just very few molecules that you don't have at least one single one of them in your body, okay? So that could be thought of as a misuse of it, just to claim that it's meaningful.
He's now dead. Not for these reasons. The other test, which you can get the result for in 30 minutes, was carried out by a government minister in Parliament. That government minister proved that a can of Coke will test positive. So clearly not reliable.
Und ich darf sagen, Herr Präsident, wir dürften jetzt ein Problem haben, weil wir haben einen positiven Corona-Test im Parlament, nämlich dieses Cola hat einen positiven Corona-Test ausgelöst.
So here's the thing. If you are a traveller, which I am, or you're someone that likes to go on holiday, and you're willing to take the risk, and you want to go overseas, you might want to go on a ski trip, you might want to go on a city break. Imagine you want to go on a short city break with Ryanair. You could fly for £40 return. Well, back in the day, have your little rucksack, head to the airport. Train journey would probably end up costing a little bit more than the price of the airport ticket. And then fly to your destination. You might fly to Bologna, you might fly to Rome, you might fly to Oslo, you name it, you could fly anywhere. But now, the government's insisting they require a negative test for COVID, a negative test, 72 hours prior, that proves you're negative 72 hours prior to departure. You know how much a test is in central London? There are companies offering tests for £170+. Some places it's even more. So unless you go through the NHS, which you can't always get a test for in the first place, to do a test that may or may not be positive or negative, but you'll be taking a test for £170 to leave the country. So that adds to the cost of travel. Say it comes back negative, you fly to Milan. And as you fly to Milan, you go, oh, I've got to come back in 2 days because it's just a weekend trip. Well, while in Milan, to come back into the country, you have to go for the rigmarole of getting another test. Now, obviously, you're not a citizen of Italy. Well, you might be, but just presume you're not a citizen of Italy. Well, you're going to have to get another COVID test. To get the COVID test, you will need to pay more money. Now, just imagine it's also £150 or £170. So, that trip, that weekend trip, which back in the day would have cost you £40 return with Ryanair or EasyJet or Wizz Air, let's not discriminate against all these budget airlines, is now going to cost you, before you've done anything, £340 for tests. Best case scenario, you'll get a free test with the NHS, which would be £0, but you know you won't get a free test when you get to Italy. You'll have to pay a private company for that test. So best case scenario, it's going to cost you £150 plus the price of the air ticket. You could fly in the old days, to and from New York, London to New York for that price. So what this is going to do, this is the intelligence of our corrupt, inept government run by someone that's sort of dithering around, jumping from one idea to the other. This idea will cost the travel industry millions, if not billions, in people choosing not to travel. I think it's absolutely shocking. So, if you're wondering why some people are actually choosing to go out there and protest about these measures, protesting about the lockdowns, protesting about the travel restrictions, it's a simple reason like that. We're not all people who are anti-vaxxers, we're not people who are anti-lockdowns, although yes, I'm an anti-lockdown person, but I'm not an anti-vaxxer. However, I would urge you to look into the side effects of that vaccine. There's 3 that have now been approved in the UK. One's the Moderna one, most recently. There's the Oxford AstraZeneca one. And there's the Pfizer. Look at the track record of a company like Pfizer and then think, do I really want to take a vaccine from a company with that track record? Look at the vaccine rollout in Finland when they had swine flu, and they thought, let's roll out the vaccine to Finnish school children. Look at the large percentage of those children who are now adults who suffer from narcolepsy. Now, I'm not going to list all of the side effects from a potential vaccine, but when you've got a 99.9% chance of being okay from this virus, or there's a probability that you might suffer side effects, as a healthy individual, which are you going to rather choose? But the reason they're going to say, we're not making these vaccines mandatory, is because they make your life difficult if you do not get one. They make travel extremely difficult. They make travel expensive. They're going to make going into restaurants impossible. They're going to make going to the theatre impossible. And this is how they're going to rub their hands together and say, but we didn't make vaccines mandatory. We would never do that. But they have. They have with these sort of measures. By pushing this idea that you can't travel without producing a false positive, false negative PCR malarkey test, increasing the cost of your travel, it basically means that those who are elites, who can travel willy-nilly on their private jets, first class, they don't need to be dealing with the rabble anymore. The rabble, they were sick of the rabble venturing to Capri in Italy. They were sick of the rabble going to the Seychelles. They were sick of the rabble going to the places that they went. This is a great way to stop exactly the same measures as the carbon tax. The carbon tax was there to sort of stop people traveling. That didn't work so well. So this is almost another tax on travel. Anyway, that's my thoughts as I sort of stroll past William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre and head actually towards Westminster, ready for tomorrow's protest. And there's going to be more protests. I expect, well, all I say is stay tuned for that and keep up the fight.